You watch them, the ones who move like they own every second, and you tell yourself a story, a comfortable lie. They were born different, better genes, better circumstances, some hidden advantage you'll never have. This is your prison, the belief that discipline is nature, not decision. Listen to me. They're not built differently. What you're seeing isn't natural superiority. It's the result of a system, an invisible system they built. And you can build it too. The moment you stop romanticizing them and start dissecting what they actually do, you think their consistency means it's easy for them. It's not. They feel the same pull toward comfort, the same voice telling them to quit, the same excuses your brain manufactures every morning. The difference? They don't obey that voice. Discipline isn't the absence of resistance. It's action in spite of it. They haven't silenced the voice that says, "Not today." They've just stopped listening to it. And that's not a personality trait. It's a trained response. What can be trained can be learned. Right now, you're trapped. Trapped by the myth of innate superiority. As long as you believe they have something you don't, you absolve yourself. You stay a spectator, watching others achieve what you've convinced yourself is beyond your reach. But achievement isn't a gift. The universe doesn't hand it to the lucky few. It's built, brick by brick, decision by decision, action by action. And the blueprint? It's not secret. It's never been secret. It's just uncomfortable, unglamorous, and it demands honesty about who you are versus who you claim to want to be. The people you admire looked at that blueprint. They didn't feel inspired. They didn't have some transformative moment. They just recognized a simple, brutal truth. There is no other path. Wishing for discipline doesn't create it. Understanding it doesn't create it. Only practicing it creates it. And practice requires you to begin before you feel ready. You've been waiting for readiness, the perfect alignment, the right energy, the right motivation. But readiness isn't a precondition. It's a consequence. You don't become ready and then act. You act, and through action, become ready. The disciplined understand this sequence. Confidence follows competence. Competence follows practice. And practice follows the decision to begin, despite having no confidence at all. They start badly. They start scared. They start uncertain. But they start. And starting is the only thing that separates them from you. Inside you, there's a war. Two forces in constant combat. You are not a unified self. You are a battlefield. Until you understand this war, you'll keep being its casualty. The first force is your primal brain, the ancient part kept your ancestors alive when survival meant conserving energy, avoiding risk, seeking immediate reward. This brain doesn't care about your long-term goals. It cares about now, right now, this moment. It wants comfort, safety, the path of least resistance. The second force is your prefrontal cortex, the executive, the strategist, the part that sets goals, envisions futures, makes commitments. This is the part that wants discipline. But here's the problem. The primal brain is faster, louder, older. It has direct access to your emotions, your fight or flight system. When it wants something, you feel it immediately. The prefrontal cortex, slower, quieter. It speaks in logic and reason, and logic doesn't stand a chance against the primal scream of, "I don't want to do this right now." This is why you set a goal at night. Feel completely certain, genuine determination, and then wake up the next morning and negotiate it away in 30 seconds. Your executive function made the commitment. Your primal brain is breaking it. And the primal brain wins because you're fighting on its terms. You cannot defeat the primal brain with willpower. Willpower is finite. It depletes with use. Every decision you make, every temptation you resist, every urge you override, it costs you. By the end of the day, you have nothing left. This is why you're strong in the morning, weak at night, why you start well and finish poorly. You're trying to win a war of attrition against a force that never gets tired. The disciplined have stopped fighting this war. They haven't won it. They've made it irrelevant. How? Systems. Systems that bypass the primal brain entirely. They don't rely on willpower. They rely on protocol. A protocol is a predetermined sequence of actions. It executes automatically. It doesn't consult your emotional state. It doesn't ask for permission. It simply runs. The primal brain can scream all it wants. The protocol executes anyway, because the decision was already made at a higher level. This is what you've been missing. Discipline isn't about winning the internal argument every single day. It's about removing the argument from the equation. You don't negotiate. You don't deliberate. You don't ask yourself how you feel. The protocol says, this is what happens at this time. And it happens. The shift from willpower to protocol is the shift from exhausting yourself to conserving your energy for what actually matters. The disciplined aren't more motivated than you. They're more automated than you. They've offloaded the decision-making to a system, and the system runs, whether they feel like it or not. This isn't robotic. This is liberation. The energy you waste every day, debating whether to do what you already know you should do, they've reclaimed that energy. All of it. and they invest it into execution, not deliberation. You want to build discipline, but you're trying to build a cathedral before you've laid the foundation. You're attempting massive, dramatic change, overhauling your entire life in one heroic gesture. This approach feels bold, ambitious. It's actually naive and destined for failure. Massive change triggers massive resistance. Your entire psychological immune system mobilizes to reject the disruption. You might succeed for a day, a week, maybe even a month if you're exceptionally determined. But you will fail, not because you're weak, but because you're trying to impose change through force rather than through structure. The disciplined don't begin with grand transformations. They begin with systems so small, they seem almost insulting in their simplicity. They understand a principle you've overlooked. The goal is not to achieve the behavior itself. The goal is to build the identity of someone who keeps commitments, no matter how small. Start with something trivially easy, not slightly challenging easy. Impossible to fail at easy. Listen carefully. If your goal is to exercise daily, do not commit to a 1-hour workout. Commit to putting on your workout clothes. That's it. Get dressed. If you do nothing else, you've fulfilled your commitment. If your goal is to write, do not commit to 1,000 words. Commit to sitting at your desk with a blank document open for 2 minutes. 2 minutes. That's your non-negotiable minimum. If your goal is to read more, do not commit to finishing a book per week. Commit to reading 1 page. 1 single page. I know what you're thinking. What difference does putting on workout clothes make if I don't actually work out? You're missing the point. You're not building the behavior. You're building trust. Trust with yourself. You're proving to your subconscious that when you make a commitment, you keep it. Every single time. No exceptions. No negotiations. No, I'll do it tomorrow. You said you would do it, and you did it. This is the foundation. Not motivation, not inspiration. Trust. The kind of bone-deep trust that can only be built through the accumulation of evidence. And the evidence is simple. You are someone who does what you say you will do. Once you've established this pattern, and it will take longer than you expect, probably 30 to 60 days of perfect consistency, you can begin to expand. Add 1 minute to your desk time, 1 more page to your reading, 1 movement after you put on your workout clothes. But you expand slowly, painfully slowly, slower than feels productive, because your goal is not to rush to the impressive behavior. Your goal is to build a system that cannot fail, a system that doesn't require you to feel motivated, that executes in any psychological state. The system must be so easy that the only way to fail is through deliberate self-sabotage. And if you fail, you don't forgive yourself and try again tomorrow. You identify why the system failed, and you fix the system, not yourself. The system. You are not the problem. The system design is the problem. This mindset shift is critical. If you blame yourself for failure, you reinforce the identity of someone who is undisciplined. If you blame the system, you maintain the identity of someone who is disciplined, but whose system needs refinement. The first approach destroys you. The second approach builds you. exhausted before you even begin. Not physically, mentally. You're exhausted from the endless stream of micro decisions you force yourself to make every single day. Should I do this now or later? Should I do it at all? Is this truly necessary? What if I modified it slightly? What if I took today off and doubled up tomorrow? This constant internal negotiation is not thoughtfulness. It's cognitive hemorrhaging. You're bleeding mental energy into pointless deliberation. And by the time you actually need to execute, you have nothing left. The disciplined have solved this problem through the elimination of choice. They don't make decisions in the moment. They make decisions once, at a higher level of abstraction. And then they follow the protocol, without question. Here's how you build a protocol. First, identify the behavior you want to establish. Be specific. Not exercise more. Instead, do 10 push-ups immediately after waking up. Second, anchor it to an existing behavior or time. This is crucial. The human brain is excellent at forming associations. If you link your new behavior to something that already happens consistently, you leverage an existing neural pathway. The format is simple. After existing behavior, I will new behavior. Example: after I pour my morning coffee, I will write for 5 minutes. Third, remove all friction. Make the behavior so easy to execute that the effort required approaches zero. If you want to exercise in the morning, put your workout clothes next to your bed the night before. When you wake up, they're the first thing you see. If you want to read more, leave the book on your pillow. You physically cannot get into bed without moving it. Fourth, and this is where most people fail, make it non-negotiable. Not unless I'm tired. Not unless I'm busy. Not unless I'm not feeling well. Non-negotiable means it happens, regardless of any circumstance short of a genuine emergency. And you must define what qualifies as an emergency before you begin. Otherwise, every minor inconvenience becomes an emergency. The protocol is not a suggestion. It's not a guideline. It's law. You've legislated it at a higher level of consciousness. And your moment-to-moment self does not get to vote on it. When the time comes, you execute. Without thinking, without feeling, without deciding. You execute, because that's what the protocol says happens. This eliminates decision fatigue entirely. You're not using willpower. You're using automation. And automation never gets tired. It never loses motivation. It simply runs. Track your protocol with binary precision. At the end of each day, you record one thing. Did you execute the protocol? Not did I exceed it. Not did I almost do it. Did you do exactly what the protocol required? Yes or no? is no third option. This tracking is not about motivation or gamification. It's about accountability, pattern recognition. If you break the protocol, you need to know immediately. Not so you can punish yourself, but so you can analyze what failed. Was the protocol too ambitious? Was the anchor behavior too inconsistent? Was there insufficient environmental design to support execution? Fix the system, not yourself. Over time, the protocol becomes unconscious. You no longer think about whether to do it. You simply do it automatically. The same way you brush your teeth, put on your seatbelt. It becomes part of your operational baseline. And once it's baseline, you can layer another protocol on top, and then another, and then another. This is how the disciplined build lives of staggering productivity while appearing effortless. They're not making hundreds of motivated decisions every day. They're running dozens of protocols that require no decisions at all. You will fail. Let me be precise. You will not fail at the protocol itself if you've designed it correctly. You will fail at maintaining the protocol over time. And you need to understand why this happens before it happens. So when it arrives, you recognize it for what it is, not evidence of your inadequacy, but a predictable phase of system implementation. There's a curve to building discipline, and almost no one warns you about it. You start with enthusiasm. The first few days are easy. You're riding the wave of novelty and commitment. You feel good. You feel like you've finally figured it out. This phase lasts approximately 3 to 7 days. Then the enthusiasm dies. The behavior is no longer novel. It's just something you do. And without the emotional fuel of excitement, the primal brain begins to question. You've done it for a week, it says. You've proven you can do it. Maybe you don't need to be so strict. Maybe you can relax a little. This is the first inflection point. This is where most people fail. They mistake the death of enthusiasm for the death of the commitment. They believe that if they don't feel excited about the protocol, they shouldn't continue it. But enthusiasm is not the fuel. The protocol is the fuel. It runs whether you feel excited or not. Push through this phase without negotiation. Do not modify the protocol. Do not take a day off to reset. Execute exactly as designed. This phase lasts approximately 2 to 3 weeks. It's the hardest phase because you're no longer excited, but you haven't yet built the habit deeply enough for it to feel automatic. If you survive this phase, you enter the second inflection point, around day 21 to 30. This is the false summit. The behavior starts to feel easier. You've built some momentum. You start to think you've succeeded. You have not. This is the most dangerous moment because you believe the hard part is over and you relax your vigilance. The moment you relax, the system collapses. Do not relax. Do not modify. Continue executing with exactly the same rigor you had on day one. The false summit is a test, your psychology's final attempt to return to the old pattern by convincing you the new pattern is secure when it's not. If you maintain the protocol through day 60 with 0 breaks, you reach the third phase, integration. The behavior is now genuinely automatic. You don't think about it. You don't question it. It simply happens as part of your daily sequence. This is actual habit formation. This is the point where the protocol has become part of your identity. But even here, vigilance is required. Life will disrupt the pattern. You'll travel. You'll get sick. You'll face unusual circumstances. This is where the protocol must flex without breaking. You don't abandon the protocol. You execute the minimum viable version. If your protocol is to write for 30 minutes each morning and you're traveling, you still write. But maybe you write for 5 minutes in a hotel lobby. The time changes, the location changes, but the fact of execution does not change. This is how you maintain the identity of someone who keeps commitments, even when circumstances are hostile. The resistance curve is not a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that you're succeeding. The resistance only appears when you're genuinely challenging your existing patterns. If you're not experiencing resistance, you're not pushing hard enough. The resistance is not the problem. The resistance is the work. You're not just fighting your psychology, you're fighting your environment, and your environment is winning because you've designed it to support your old patterns, not your new protocols. The disciplined understand something crucial. Willpower is finite, but environmental design is permanent. You cannot rely on willpower to overcome a poorly designed environment. You must design an environment that makes the desired behavior inevitable and the undesired behavior difficult. This is not about motivation. This is about architecture. You're building a physical space that supports the identity you're constructing. Start with friction analysis. Identify every point of friction between your current state and the behavior you want to execute. If you want to exercise in the morning, what are the barriers? You have to get out of bed, find your clothes, get dressed, find your shoes, decide what workout to do, and begin. Each of these is a decision point where resistance can derail you. Now eliminate each point of friction systematically. Put your workout clothes next to your bed. Put your shoes by the door. Write your workout on a card and place it with your clothes. When you wake up, the path from bed to exercise is frictionless. You remove the opportunity for deliberation. The inverse is equally important. Add friction to undesired behaviors. If you want to stop checking your phone first thing in the morning, do not keep it by your bed. Charge it in another room. Make accessing it require physical effort. The 3 seconds it takes to walk to another room is often enough to break the automatic reach. This sounds trivial. It's not. The disciplined are not people with exceptional willpower. They're people who have engineered their environments to make discipline the path of least resistance. They've made good choices easy and bad choices hard. Consider your workspace. If you want to write, but your desk is cluttered with distractions, you will not write consistently. The environment is telling you to do anything other than write. Clear the desk, one tool at a time, one object at a time, until the desk contains only what is necessary for the protocol, nothing else. The same principle applies to your digital environment. If you want to focus, but your phone sends you notifications every 5 minutes, you will not focus. Turn off all non-essential notifications, all of them. Make your phone a tool you use deliberately, not a stimulus that uses you. Your environment should reflect your protocol, not contradict it. Every object, every design choice, every physical arrangement should support the person you're becoming, not the person you were. This is not about perfection. This is about alignment. The more aligned your environment is with your protocol, the less willpower you need to execute. The ultimate goal is to create an environment where execution is easier than avoidance, where the default behavior is the desired behavior, where you would have to actively rebel against your environment to fail. This is designing for inevitability. You've built the system. You've survived the resistance curve. You've designed your environment. You've established protocols that run automatically without requiring motivation or willpower. You've become, in a very real sense, disciplined. But this is not the end. This is the beginning of something far more profound. What you discover on the other side of consistent execution is not just competence or achievement. What you discover is a different relationship with yourself. You discover self-trust at a level you've never experienced before. Every single day, you made a promise to yourself, and every single day, you kept it. Not when it was easy, not when you felt like it. Every day, regardless of circumstances, feelings, obstacles. And through that relentless consistency, you've proven something to the deepest part of your psyche. Your word means something. When you say you will do something, it gets done. This is not arrogance. This is the quiet, unshakable confidence that comes from evidence. You're not hoping you can do difficult things. You know you can, because you have the data. 60 days, 90 days, a year of perfect execution. That's not theory. That's fact. And from that foundation of self-trust, everything else becomes possible. The goals that seemed impossible before, the ones you dismissed as fantasy, wishful thinking, they become real possibilities, because you now possess the only thing that was ever missing, the certainty that if you commit to something, you will do it. You're no longer negotiating with yourself. That exhausting internal dialogue has ceased. When you identify something that needs to be done, you do it. There's no intermediate step of deliberation, no internal debate about whether you really have to. You've trained yourself to obey the higher order decision. Your moment-to-moment self has learned that the executive decision is final, non-negotiable. This is self-mastery, not the mastery of skills or knowledge, the mastery of will. You've become sovereign over your own actions. You're no longer subject to the weather of your temporary emotional states. You're no longer a victim of circumstances, moods, feelings. You've established internal governance. And the people who don't have this, the people who are still negotiating, still deliberating, still waiting for the right feeling, they'll see you, and they'll think you're different. They'll construct the same mythology about you that you once constructed about others. They'll tell themselves you were born disciplined, that you have some advantage they lack, that you possess a gift they were not given. You'll know the truth. There was no gift. There was a decision. There was a system. There was relentless, unglamorous execution, day after day after day, until the behavior was no longer effortful. It was identity. And if they ask you how you did it, you'll tell them the truth. But most of them won't believe you, because the truth is not complicated or mystical. It's simple. And simple things don't satisfy the part of the human mind that wants transformation to be dramatic and mysterious. The truth is this: you decided who you were going to be. You built a system that supported that identity. You executed that system without negotiation or mercy. And through that execution, you became the person you decided to be. Not gradually, not through some mystical accumulation of wisdom or inspiration. You became that person the moment you started keeping your promises to yourself. The discipline you admire in others was never theirs to begin with. It was always yours. You were just waiting for permission to claim it. But there is no permission. There's no moment when you'll feel ready. There's only the decision to stop spectating and start building. The blueprint is in your hands. The tools are available. The only question remaining is whether you'll begin. Not tomorrow, not when you feel inspired. Now, in this moment, with whatever imperfect, incomplete understanding you currently possess, because the system doesn't require you to be ready. It requires you to begin. And beginning, regardless of how small, how uncertain, how unglamorous, is the only thing that separates the person you are from the person you're capable of becoming. You are the architect of your own discipline, and the construction begins the moment you stop planning and start building.